Hi there, I'm Dr. Myrdalis Diaz Ramirez, and this is the Design Your Physician Life podcast. Welcome to this episode brought to you by our Maxillary Mastermind, an exclusive mastermind for physician entrepreneurs. This is really a personal and professional development program for physicians like you who are looking to regain and retain their control of their lives as physicians. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Dana Corriel from Doctors on Social Media, also known as Soulmate Docs. We have a great conversation with Dr. Corriel about designing your social media presence. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Design Your Physician Life podcast, where you will get excited about being a physician, learn the tools that can help boost your success, and great tips from successful doctors. Join us to unlock the keys to an amazing physician life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Myrdalis Diaz Ramirez.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode. I'm extremely excited to have here Dr. Dana Corriel. She's actually an internist turned digital consultant. She's a traditionally trained physician who swapped clinical practice for digital innovation. After discovering she had a talent for design and unique content creating during a short break from clinical medicine, she decided to pay it forward in her field of healthcare and build an online platform that promotes doctors' ideas and businesses. Corriel's Soulmate Docs, or Doctors on Social Media, was born, and now she helps companies also alike to figure out their next steps in the online space. So she doesn't only help doctors, she helps companies, and we've seen her business grow throughout, especially like the last year has been an explosion. Thank you so much for being here. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much, and I'm likewise so honored to be here. Thank you for bringing me on as a guest.
Yeah, so Dr. Corriel has been a coach in our Maxillary Mastermind some time ago, and she helped some of our members. And now, she does this for so many other physicians since then. It's been wonderful to see you all over the place, all the work that you're doing, and how many more physicians are joining your movement. So it's like really a movement right now. Before we get into all that exciting newest stage in your life, let's go back in time to the younger Dana, who decided, maybe became inspired to be a physician. Where did you see the inspiration to become a physician and then later an internist?
So I just by nature am someone that really loves other humans. I just grew up very social, whether that was a product of me being an only child or not, I'm not sure. But I grew up really loving humans. I always sort of just wanted to embrace people whenever I saw someone that was hurt, wherever that was someone that was visibly being wronged. I just wanted to swoop in and hug them. I always wanted to do good. And I don't know, I think medicine just sort of evolved as a result of wanting to help people. And it was always also just a profession that allows us to be comfortable. I mean, you never have to worry. You never had to worry about having a job in the past, being a doctor, and you got to help people doing it. And so that was a no-brainer for me, getting older. And I excelled in school. And so I was really a good fit, someone who was empathetic, someone who was compassionate, someone who was, smart, at least enough to pass all the tests that were required. And so that, it naturally evolved into me being a physician.
And how did you choose being an internist? Internal medicine.
Yeah. So internist I chose because of two main reasons. One is that I just really loved every part of medicine. I love the whole of the body. Like I mentioned, I love the human. I couldn't really choose just one particular body organ to focus on or one system. I wanted people to come in and to have continuity of care because I really do value those relationships that we build in primary care. So that's the main reason why. And then the other reason was just that, I am in a dual physician household. We started early. Neither of us took a break. We had children young. I mean, I was an internist when I had I was an intern when I had my first child. And so, for those reasons as well, to have pushed off going out into the world and becoming an attending, family matters too. And so I wanted to just get rolling and start working. I mean, that's always an option that I could specialize in the future, right? Anybody could specialize in the future, even if they start out as a primary care doctor. But I just really loved those whole relationships and the continuity of care. And that's why I chose primary care.
So you started practicing and eventually you took a break. That took you here, right?
Yeah, I took a break about a decade ago. Well, now actually, I took a break when my third son was born for that reason. I wanted to be home for my third child after not having been home for the two first children. And he's now 11 going on 12. So it was about almost 12 years ago. Yes, I took a break. I did not expect it to be as long as it was. It turned out to be a 3-year break, but it was actually the life changing moment that helped to shape who I am today and helped me make the decisions that I made today. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but there was a lot of soul searching and a lot of soul finding during that time away from medicine. And I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah, we certainly want to talk about that because as physicians, most of us will decide, okay, I'm going to go to be a physician. And then I go through the moves and an internship, residency, fellowship, work, never stopping, never having that little time to think, that opportunity that actually, like, unfortunately, COVID gave many of us during that period of time. But in your case, you took it earlier than that. And we want to learn for that experience so that people get inspired when they're not able to stop. So tell us about that time in your life.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, I did that. I was that sort of, I was that person that went all the way through. I did not take a break. A lot of people who pursue medicine do it that way. I've actually lectured on this, not being necessarily the greatest way in the world. I do believe in what I call gaps, gap years, but just these time periods that you really can explore yourself a bit more. So these gaps are important for me, and I just never took a gap. And so taking that gap later in life really opened my eyes to the world and opened my eyes to things that I just never really knew existed, that I never realized, skills I never realized I had talent in, or things that just made me so happy. And that combined with the current breaks in healthcare, with the things that don't work in healthcare, landed me here where I am today. But there was, of course, like a long trajectory in between when I did re-enter medicine and work as a primary care doctor. The blend of that, like those ingredients, resulted in my taking this really big pivot and doing what I do today, which is not clinically practicing as I trained for all these years. And so that's, I think, what makes me a bit more unique and out of the box than some of my colleagues that continue to practice, but maybe are unhappy, is that I am trying to reinvent and redefine what you can do with your medical degree.
You know, that's one of the things that I thought a lot about in medicine. I see my husband, he was working for a big company as an engineer, and they take sabbaticals. So every so often, the company pays them to have time off, take time off, and they can use that time as they want. If they want to work in a project, if they want to work in personal development, if they want to take a whole long vacation, they can do that. And that's not something that we have the luxury of in medicine, that we really should try to build. When, you know, this podcast is called Design Your Physician Life, and that's one of the topics that I really wanted to talk about at some point. And you have that right now, where you can design these gap years or this gap time. It's not necessarily maybe a year, but maybe designing your life where for long periods of time you're alone to think. Because if you're always just consuming information, you really never have the time to create, to put out, to bring from your brain stuff out that you're going to be doing there. And yes, we do this, you know, on a regular basis. We can take breaks here and there, but just taking these huge gaps, or in terms of sabbatical, that would be great. So tell us about the specific things that maybe you learned during that period of time that now you're implemented in your life in the last 10 years.
Well, I learned some of the things that just are run of the mill for other people. I mean, I learned simple things like cooking and baking I mean, I remember the hours in the middle of the night when I'd be up, feeding my newborn at the time and watching, for example, TV, watching Ina Garten, the Barefoot Contessa, watching her cook and learning from her, and then implementing that during the day and actually like cooking for my family, which is not something that everybody has to do, but it's something that when I experienced it, like felt so exhilarating that I could make a meal for my family and it could be really delicious. And we didn't necessarily have to, order in, which for a dual physician family, sometimes can become the norm because you're so busy, you just don't have time for that kind of thing. So it was first and foremost those kinds of things like cooking, baking, designing. I mean, I found out just how much further I could take my love of color and texture and actually apply it to design. So designing a home, designing entertaining events, like having people over and making it a little more exciting than just having them over. Putting together a table, designing the evening, throwing a party, things again that you just don't have time for when you're studying to become a physician. But more relevant to your question, because you actually asked about the things I learned that I implement now, right? Is now I run a business. So I run a digital business. I'm a digital consultant. And the really cool things that I get to do today are the result of learning it over these years and then perfecting it over these years. So things, that started out as blogging, for example. I mean, when I was away from medicine and I was with a newborn, I started to discover this whole world of social media and that it could be used for more than just social. So blogging, expressing yourself, being able to write down your feelings about certain things, even like what a doctor does, why, doctors are great resources for health, things that you read online, why you should go to see doctors. I'm sorry, why you should go to doctors' blogs and read about them. Or how cool is it that doctors can write in blogs about their lives if they're comfortable doing that, and how much that sort of helps you to interact as a patient with your doctor, knowing certain things about them outside of the clinic. But it started out as blogging, and it evolved over the past decade. It evolved into a community I started for physicians that want, sort of to pick up those skills. It evolved from that to me building a website, learning how to build online, learning to build a website. I built my business. I built doctorsonsocialmedia.com. It's a very complicated website. I'm extremely proud of it. And I'm extremely proud of the doctors that we showcase there. And then, eventually it grew into a movement whose goal is to support the individuals in medicine today, the individual doctors that are actually greasing the wheel of healthcare and making healthcare work, right? In our case, it's the doctors. We vet real doctors, and we do a lot of things for the doctors. We showcase them. We help to make connections for them. We facilitate networking. And so again, it's really been exhilarating to go from someone who's practicing medicine to someone who steps away from medicine and says, oh, wow, there's more to life than just this. And I love other things. And holy crap, excuse my French, but there's things that are missing in medicine. And I need to figure out like how I can put my skills to good use and help at least fix part of the problem. And again, that's by helping build SoMeDocs and helping doctors understand what brands are and to fight for their individual worth.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And we don't use the visuals in this podcast, but I want to describe a little bit of what I see talking about design before we go into the other things. Dr. Corriel right now is sitting in a wonderful, beautiful orange seat, and she has these earrings that are blue and gold, and there's some design, some picture on the wall, black and white, and everything like matches perfectly. It just feels, like program, like plan. It feels, and it feels at ease as well. In going to your doctors, one of the things, we can decide in medicine either to stay or to go on, to stay and practice for joy, or we can decide just to change. And every time we change, really is a change. And we became doctors, and there's a reason why that has been such a looked after profession. Like we're going to need somebody to take care of us as humans. You love humans, right? But we're going to need somebody to take care of us as humans forever. And so far, the highest education has been for physicians. So there's a reason why we're physicians and why we want to be physicians. But many of us are so unhappy in medicine and don't know how to express ourselves in other ways because we haven't had the time, either the gap year or the sabbatical, or just little pockets of time here and there to be able to think out and be able to make these decisions. And now you're working with all these physicians who most of them really are practicing medicine. They're not living medicine. You're showcasing them as speakers in their own areas. You're showcasing them how they can grow in their social media to still be practicing. Which are some of the main problems that you see for these physicians who are coming to you when they're coming to want to grow their social media footprint, that you see that we're really not learning in school, but they're easy things to learn and to have as tools when they're starting their social media path?
So there's a lot that they can learn. I mean, first of all, it matters, like every doctor that comes to SoMe has a different goal in mind. So the first and foremost thing that everybody needs to dissect and explore is, why are you doing this? I mean, why are you building presence on social media? Everyone's got a different answer for that. It could be because you're starting your own private practice and you want to just get really some free marketing going out there. It could be that you want to become, better known and better established as a thought leader, and want, let's say, to get quoted in news articles and such. It could be that you are working for an academic institution and you want to be better known because you want to plump up your CV in case you want to ask for a raise or ask to be, maybe go to a different position or a different academic center. At the end of the day, I think doctors are realizing that it's no longer such a protected field, and that definitely that we are to some degree being taken advantage of in the healthcare field. And so we need to do whatever we can to build up individual worth, so that if we do need to make a career switch, or we do need to pivot, or we do need to do whatever we want to do, we're dependent on us and our work. And we're not dependent on, let's say, the hospital system that has hired us. We are individual celebrities and rock stars in healthcare. That should always be the case, in my opinion, where it comes to doctors, because of what you said, because we are a very special cohort in society, a cohort that committed ourselves to health and committed decades of our lifetime to education, to studying health. Others can say that they're there for health, and more power to them, but no one really matches the resilience of physicians that have made it through the really rough patch of medical school, have passed all those really rigorous tests, and still live to tell about it. So again, it's something that stands for something really special. And if we don't value our own worth for having gone through that, of course, no one else will. And that's the healthcare system of today, is that we are increasingly being devalued, being replaced. And I can't blame the systems that are doing it, because they are businesses. And that's what happens when private equity takes over. And it's no longer a small business that the doctor owns, that the doctor sort of cares for.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was probably with the best of intentions, because we wanted to be physicians and stay practicing as physicians. And then we gave away all these rights, right? We gave the right, we gave away all the management and everything, because we went, I just want to be the doctor. And things were just getting too complicated. And then now we're here in this situation where the truth is that we have to take matters into our own hands. And we cannot blame the system. We cannot keep blaming, it's this hospital or this boss or this manager or whatever it is. We have to do our part and then get there. And social media is certainly a big, huge way of doing this and taking matters into your hands. When physicians come into social media, we might not know all the rules, right? Of social media. There's some rules that have to be respected and followed. And they might be simple. You think, that's common sense. But you can probably still see this in physicians that you're consulting with consulting for. So tell us about some of those challenges that physicians have that they might not understand. Hey, you shouldn't really be doing this, or you should be really trying to do this other thing when you're approaching social media. Let's say first, for those, like you mentioned, three important things. One, we're using it for clinical purpose. The other one is like for any other businesses that we're building, or if we want to advance our careers in academics.
So there's a lot of rules to social media. In fact, so many that I've started, SoMeDocs has a lecture arm where we are lecturing to the general public and to other doctors alike. So part of that is me committing to slowly teaching the things that I know, that I've learned over being so active in the digital world and on social media. So I do this regularly. There's also, it depends where you're interacting. There's sometimes different rules. Like when you're on Facebook, there's different rules than when you're on LinkedIn, than when you're on your own website. And part of that is because it depending on the platform on which you're interacting, it depends on its rules. It depends who's in charge. So on your own website, you get to make the rules. When you're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn gets to make the rules. And same with Facebook, right? Mark Zuckerberg gets to make the rules. And so if you don't follow in the rules, then the algorithm will ding against you and you won't show up on people's, feeds. And so, for example, this Sunday, I'm giving a talk on Facebook groups, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and even how to monetize it. There's proper ways to do things. There's improper ways to do things. So one of the ways that one of the really great advice pieces that I have for doctors and for anybody that's using the online world is tagging, right? So tagging is something that's done to call over the attention of others to your work, to your post. So let's say you are sharing something in a post and you are tagging someone. That means that you are dropping their name there and you are tagging them so that you are taking their attention and bringing it over to your post. There's etiquette involved in that, right? Because if you think about it, like I can't go and post every single day and tag an individual that, for example, has nothing to do with my post, right? You can imagine that it could be irritating to that person. It also many times can feel kind of like being used. Again, it depends on why you're tagging someone and whether you have an understanding with that person that's said or not said, that you can, for example, show their name in your post each and every time. Tagging is definitely part of online etiquette that's a little more delicate, and that isn't necessarily easily understood by physicians because they think they can just tag. Like I've seen, for example, a doctor tagging, 30 people in their post. And if those 30 people are involved in the project that the post is about, then it's understandable. But if you're randomly just tagging someone without an understanding and just to bring them over so that they can write something in your post, there are people that can feel resentful about that because again, like, their time is valuable. What's going to happen when, what do you want them to do with your post? So this is kind of an unspoken etiquette online, especially for those that are interacting online a lot, that needs to be established in advance. And I think people just feel more comfortable when they know in advance exactly why there is a tag, and it makes that tag more appropriate. Does that make sense?
It certainly does. Like I see it throughout, like if we talk about LinkedIn, for example, we go to different events and we go to different conferences and they're like, we're all tagging each other, right? We all went to the conference, we all enjoyed, and it's something that is talking more about our presence in the conference and the conference itself. When I have here a clinic, then anybody who's going to come through here, I'm going to consent them to have that social media post. I'm going to have a request, a release, basically, that we're going to sign for them. Doesn't matter who it is, if it's a patient, if it's a visitor, whoever it is, before I post something. I could get something from them, but I'm not going to even post anything, any picture or any testimonial, unless I ask them. So it has its own place. And that's something that we've learned with time. And those releases that we sign here with our patients and visitors, it doesn't have to be our patient, patients basically obviously protecting because of the HIPAA law, but even the person who signs for it, they sign for a particular period of time that you can use that post. So we ask them, you can sign for 3 months or a specific date or for life. And that's it. And we have that and we say that. So it's very important when you're asking for somebody else to grow your business or whatever situation it is that's taken care of. It's like before, nobody would come and take a picture of you and then post it, right? It's like some type of privacy too, that you're kind of violating. So right now we're talking about physicians who come to you about social media. Let's talk about you as an entrepreneur. Like when you transitioned from being the physician, as I understand, you were working for someone else, right? At that time. And then eventually you discover this design and you do your websites and your social media and all these things. And now you are dealing with other physicians, being their guide, as these social media doctors who's turned into, as we say, a movement. Tell us about you as an entrepreneur, your transition there, things that you've learned that you would have liked to learn and they really didn't teach you in medical school, and that right now, it's done, but it was things that, it would have been so nice to learn this before.
I mean, I think that one of the most important concepts to learn as a young physician is to create a digital footprint of your accomplishments and your abilities. I think it's becoming more and more important as the world evolves, to recognize that you are bringing worth to anything you are part of, whether you're working for a system or you're working for yourself. Building a digital footprint helps you to increase the value that you bring to these projects, whatever project it is that you want to take part in. And it can really help you in evergreen fashion, meaning your work and your accomplishments, they don't go out of style. They age really well. And the online world just allows you to publicly display that so that everybody can see exactly what it is that you've done. And it can really help you to land new gigs, to open up to new opportunities. And that to me is something that wasn't ever taught, right? I mean, what's taught in medical is just health and the healthcare interaction. Be nice to your patient, and that's it. And what I see happening a lot, like you said, that we've let it happen. Yeah, I mean, we've outsourced, right? We've outsourced a lot of the things that we weren't taught because it's easier. And that's not necessarily wrong to outsource it. But what has become wrong is that we have also outsourced control. So it's one thing, right, to like outsource certain activities that we're not skilled at versus taking the time to learn them, right? Some of us are now taking the time to learn those skills so that we don't need to outsource them. And so we can have more control. But if you're really a busy physician, you can't necessarily do everything. So you need to outsource, but you still need to be in control. And that to me is a problem in today's healthcare system, where the doctors are becoming cogs in the wheel and they have outsourced really the control of it all. Someone else is now controlling it, in that they're telling us how long we should see patients for, what checkbox we need to check off. And it has developed a system that, quite frankly, doesn't always make sense. When a patient comes in for problem X and you're spending 7 minutes out of the 10-minute visit checking off boxes that really are not relevant to the visit, it is impeding, right? It is impeding us from doing good for that patient. It is making that patient angry, and it is making that patient not likely to get better because we only spent 3 minutes with them out of the 10-minute slot. So again, that's just one example of the ways that we have sort of ceded control to a larger entity that we we're merely just trying to outsource with. So to me, that's what the younger generation really needs to understand fully, is that you need to still maintain control. And if you do work for a system, at least make sure that you understand the concept of branding, of individual IP, intellectual property, and of creating a digital footprint that represents you and you only, and that you also own 100% of that footprint.
So we can think then that entrepreneurship in your case has given you that control, right? You have creative control, you have control of your life. Has your husband been in tune with you, with what you're doing? How have you changed, your lives together with your twist here, because when we're talking about, and that's one of the things that when we created the Maxillary Mastermind, I created it so that my husband could be part of it, because we tend to think about the doctor, but I wanted a place where my husband could come too. In your case, you have a husband who's a physician, and you're now being this entrepreneur doing all these things for others. Tell us how it's changed in your nucleus there in your home.
That's a good question. I mean, my husband did not fully understand my vision, and a lot of people didn't, and especially doctors. They didn't understand my vision. My vision was more entrepreneurial. I think you really have to step out of a box to really have a vision like mine was a decade ago when I first started to think of it and shape it. I do think a lot of doctors now are getting it, but he wasn't necessarily on board where it came to understanding what I was building. He's more traditional. I mean, he works for a hospital. He's a cardiologist. He sees patients. He's very loved. He's extremely skilled at what he does. He did really well in school and in the tests. That doesn't mean that he necessarily agrees with everything that's being done in healthcare. So he's supportive in that sense. But I think that it helped him. He's always been supportive, but I think it helped him to become even more supportive when he saw that what I was doing was actually translating into impact and translating into success. He's definitely more supportive than ever now, because he understands what I'm building. He sees it for himself because I've been able to build it, right? A decade ago, I quit and it was just a vision. So it was hard to explain it to people. But now that I'm able to build my thoughts into a website, and it's starting to take shape, and there's a very large community of doctors that are a part of this, and there's companies that are partnering with us, he really sees the impact of what I'm making, and he's more than supportive. I believe that he's proud of what I am accomplishing. And hopefully he sees that there is more that can be done with our medical degree than just see patients, within a four-walled space.
Has he jumped on social media?
No. My husband, however, in his defense, again, makes an incredible physician and really likes what he's doing. He also just does not have that personality. He's extremely not only more introverted where it comes to that, but he's extremely private. So my husband, as supportive as he is, will cringe when I share certain things that could, let's say, involve him. And so I make sure that I ask him if I'm going to share something that shows him or shares a bit about our lives. So that's an interesting question and a very important thing to talk about, because you, first of all, do need to make sure that the other person is comfortable if you're sharing something about them. And
that's where the etiquette takes you, even down to your own family, your household. So it's really important to protect that. Even, some people are so happy sharing their kids and all this stuff, but the kids might not be really that happy.
Yeah.
And husband and family and everyone. Yeah.
No, that is such a great point, because your children, you want to make sure that your children are comfortable with what you are sharing. And to be honest, I have a bit older kids where I can ask them, is it okay if I share this? And they understand what it means. But I also understand the opposite argument where people say, well, at what age do they fully understand the implications of having a photo be on the inside of a digital world, where anybody can grab it and anybody can use it, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. I don't know if there's an age until which we need to protect our children and say they should not be online, even if they say okay. I don't know. Um, Again, because I do think that it help. Again, it's that dichotomy of it can help you in your career, but it's also online forever. And children are beings that we want to protect until a certain age and make sure that they're not, used and abused. And so I can understand both sides of the coin, but I certainly always think that there should be respect given to the individual that's represented on your, in whatever you are creating.
It's so important. I'm going to turn around a little bit because this is something that you mentioned a couple of times, and I want to make sure that we cover it. Something that you're very proud of, and it's your website. And I want to try to do a verbal trip through your website. Why is it important? Because there's a purpose for every part of your website. And as physicians, if we're going to go there and we're going to learn there and we're going to connect with you, I want to do like a trip through Dana Corriel's Doctors on Social Media website. Let's go step by step. When we go to that first page, there's we're gonna find this, and I want this to learn from your website and also to teach others how they can build their websites, what the purpose of each page is. So let's go to your first page verbally here for the listeners of Design Your Physician.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, the one thing I want to say is I am extremely proud of my website, but my website is also constantly in flux and changing because the reality of the digital world is that you need to be super flexible and change with the needs of your audience. So that's huge. And that's why my having built my website puts us and my company at such an advantage because I can change at the snap of a finger based on what the needs are. So my front page as of today, and again, I say that because I actually this morning was looking at, a website for a restaurant actually, and got some new ideas for how to change that user experience. My website is the front page is built to showcase how a user can actually use the site. Because our site is meant for both doctors and the rest of the world, people that want to learn about health and connect with the superstars of healthcare, it's very tricky, right? Because that's two audiences that I am trying to appeal to. So what I did was I tried to sort of categorize the different sections of the company website in order for users to be able to just like click in and know what they're going to get. Almost like a department store where you know that if you go to the clothing department, you're going to get clothing. And if you're going to the hardware department or to the, cooking department, you're going to be able to buy a cooking pot. So when you scroll down on that front page, what I have tried to build is like giving our users a little flavor of each department. So for example, you'll see the latest articles in our magazine displayed, and that kind of renews every time an article gets published. You'll see when you scroll down the newest lectures that are coming up, and that will also get renewed as lectures appear and as lectures move out, right, and are given, they disappear and a new lecture appears. When you scroll down, you could see all the newest members, all the newest doctors we have vetted that we've built a profile for that are publicly accessible, that businesses can reach out to, and journalists and events, etc. And then you scroll down even further, and it's the latest beyond exam room portfolios we've built. So things like the books that the physicians are writing, or them as speakers, or their coaching services, or their podcasts, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is to really just give a quick snippet in the front page of the kind of content that you can soak up when you go take a deeper dive into our website.
Tell me about the call to action buttons that you have in your website.
That's a great question. We're, again, still working on perfecting it, but the biggest button on the top right on the website is your member hub. Now, to me, it's clear that you have to become a member to access that, but anybody can press it. They just cannot get access to it, and it'll say you have to be a member. So there is, a become a member option. There's a membership tab, and we have until now only had paid memberships for doctor subscriptions where they get services for their money. That has helped us really to grow. But we are at a stage where we are well oiled and we are really ready. And we've always had this plan in place where we now have a free option for doctors to come on board. We really do want to make impact. We really do want to connect the world with these doctors. And we think it should be seamless. So we have a free option for doctors. It does take a while. We need to vet them. They get on a wait list. But there is now that free option, and there is now just one paid option. If you want just extra perks, you can pay for a subscription for different kinds of things. But the main call to action is become a member. There are other calls to action that you can scroll down for doctors in that space where you can, submit an article, you can pitch us a lecture. We're now throwing conferences. You can give a lecture that's standalone, or you could give a lecture as part of a conference. And we are disrupting the way conferences are made and delivered. We're still helping the doctor to create passive income streams through the lectures. So that's really an exciting arm. But the main call to action for now, at least, is become a member.
That's awesome. One thing that you mentioned there is that now you're working with companies, and that's a big, huge game changer for you. So tell us about that transition, when it happened. How was it for you to get your first client or your first affiliate, however that happened? Describe that for us.
Well, so first of all, there's me as a digital consultant, me privately, right, being courted and agreeing to work with one company out of many, many companies, for example, that court me. And that's where I would want to see all of the doctors at, right? You ideally want to build so much worth for yourself that you're being repeatedly courted by so many different companies to be an advisor, to be a speaker at the event, et cetera, et cetera. But to be able to be more selective and say, well, I don't want to do this, this, and this, but I would love to do this. So I've gotten to that point, and I absolutely love it. To be more discerning is just such a great feeling because you could pick those projects that you love. And I am now paying it forward because the things I don't have time for, other doctors have time for. But again, the SoMe Docs company is more than just about me. And we as a company have been in talks with so many different startups and businesses for different reasons, right? Some companies, they want the visibility of our company. So in order to get there, you have to establish that you are influential, that your company is someone, right? That your company stands for something and that it's going to help their company, right? Because no company is going to come approach you unless they clearly see that they have a return on their investment, right? Whether it's a announcement that they're partnering with you or it's money being exchanged, there has to be a reason that a company is going to court you. But, the company SoMe Docs has really become a valuable player in who we represent. We represent some incredible, powerful physicians out there, people that have written, incredible novels in the field of medicine, people that are really big influencers in the world of social media, and even people that are just starting out that are just really powerful because, like I said, they're doctors that have earned their medical degree. To me, that's just as powerful. So companies are starting to really appreciate our goals and our mission. And again, the mission is to promote the individuals within healthcare, the healthcare system, to promote the doctors, to say, you know what, independence is important in healthcare. And so these individual doctors are shining, even if they are working for a large system. And we are slowly partnering up with companies that appreciate our mission and believe in what we do and want to support us in what we do. And even maybe help out their employees or their members with our services.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. This has been such a wonderful time. Before we go, do you have any specific tips for our physicians who are listening to you? And tell us how we can find you.
Sure.
To work with you.
Yeah. So here's a tip that actually parlays into SoMe Docs as a service provider for doctors in so many different ways. One of the ways that you can use us is building up thought leadership and actually creating passive income. How? And this is a tip, is you take what you're an expert in, right? And you formulate a talk that you can give. Some of us already have several talks handy. I mean, I personally have many talks that I have handy, and that's why I've already done this. You take a talk that you have handy, that you can teach other people, and you just pitch it to us. You apply, it's just a form that you just give your lecture details. We then accept the form. We either accept it as a talk on our site or we don't accept it. You basically just choose a day and a time. It could be just a standalone lecture, or if we accept you as part of a conference, it has to be at a certain date and time. But the point is that all you have to do is just pitch a lecture and fill out a form. We do all the design, we do all the work, the tech, we do the promotion along with you. And when it's time, you just click a button, you deliver your talk, and that's it. You give it live to a live audience for free when it's live. So everybody that is a part of SoMeDocs that follows gets to actually come for free and watch you. But your talk then gets captured again by us, gets designed in an on-demand space. It gets promoted again by us. All the tech is taken care of, and you get to decide exactly how much money you want to get paid for your talk. And for your life, you make that amount in a revenue share. So it's a revenue share model where SoMeDocs gets paid a percentage for hosting and for all the tech. But you basically don't have to give that lecture again. You can in another space, but you don't have to give that lecture again. But you can collect a paycheck monthly if people are purchasing that lecture. And it's a great way to make passive income. And additionally, what we do super differently is we also help generate warm leads. So if you are already somebody that appreciates growing your email list, and that I could talk about in its own lecture, we help you to collect all the signups for the people that actually sign up for your lecture. So as they drop their email, you receive that email and you could grow your list. And so again, the tip is open up your mind, be a bit more flexible, and think outside the box as to how you can grow thought leadership, how you can get your name out there by linking up with someone else who already has, let's say, a really large audience like SoMeDocs. And don't be afraid to do those things. Those are the things that are going to, kickstart you as a thought leader, give you more opportunities, and again, even generate passive income streams with you doing nothing. Once you deliver, for example, that lecture, you just sit back, and for the rest of its life, you can generate income as you build more.
That's wonderful. Let's go then. It would be doctorsonsocialmedia.com, right?
Yeah, so exactly. That's where you can find us. The best place to find us is the place where we own the site. And that's doctorsonsocialmedia.com. You can also go to somedocs.com. You just press a button and it takes you to our website. We are present all over the social media platforms at SoMeDocs. But again, we don't own those. So if I just wrote an article about this, if Twitter went kaput, right? If Twitter ends tomorrow, you won't see Twitter. I mean, you won't see SoMeDocs on Twitter. We have 18,000 followers there. They're going to go away and not find us, right? If it weren't for our website. So come to our website, subscribe, drop your email, but please take a look around and also, sign up for the lectures that these incredible professionals are giving to you. And you can watch them for free while they're live, but you can also watch them on demand for whatever cost the doctor has chosen. Right now, our active members that are paid members can actually give lectures for free and keep them for free. So you can actually catch some lectures for free as well. So thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Oh, this has been wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And you guys, we're going to have more of Dr. Dana Corriel. We'll give you some more surprises later. We'll see you then.
And before you even say goodbye, let's commemorate what we just did I will take a screenshot of us. Also, it will be fun because your followers can then find it because you just described how I look. They might be interested, right, in seeing exactly what it looks like. All right, so on air, let's smile. Oh, you know what? There you go. Okay, let's smile again. Okay, love it. So your
I have
followers.
all my consent for life.
I love
It's
it.
verbally here, given to you.
So I have your
It's
consent to
recorded.
tag you on it. I love it. The promote that I just
Tag me.
I love it.
We'll tag each other. And today I'm going to go and sign up for your website, and I'm going to be a member and look
We
for
would love that.
conferences. So guys, if I'm doing, you can do it too. That's the point. Like Dana here, she chose to be in control of her life. She's not directly a physician, but she's certainly using her degree to help many other physicians, and not only the physicians. These physicians are able to help the world because they're here. And you can choose that too. You can make that choice. You can go and use Dana's services, take advantage of these communities that are being built up for supporting each other. And, I'm going to do it. I can do it. You can do it too. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Well, guys, that's it for today. Stay tuned for more of our Design Your Physician Life podcast, which was brought to you today by our Maxillary Mastermind. This is a personal and professional development program for physicians who want to learn about entrepreneurship. We will continue to bring you more useful resources to develop your physician entrepreneur life like we did today with Dr. Dana Corriel. You can actually find her through her website, doctorsonsocialmedia.com. We hope that you had a great time. Thank you for joining us. Come and join us. Give us 5 stars. Share the love. Share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.
Please remember that Design is not providing specific financial, medical, or career advice. Our only intent is to stimulate your appetite for growth by sharing our experience and those of our speakers, coaches, and guests. Your personal growth and success will be unique to your circumstances and your hard work. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the show and look forward to seeing you next week.